Today on Locked On Hornets, how close are we to the reality of a Coby-less Hornets team? Walker has all the details. And then later, I'm joined by Nada Edwards to discuss the NBA draft. That's all ahead today on Locked On Hornets.
You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
Welcome in to another edition of Locked On Hornets. Thanks so much for making us your first listen every single day. I'm Doug Branson. You can find more of my work on every Hornets box score.com. I'm typically joined by Walker Mail of WFNZ. You can catch more from him on the Wes and Walker Show, 12 to 3. You can also catch him in just a moment talking about all the latest news around Coby White. And then later in the show, I'm joined by the great Nada Edwards to reminisce about 10 years of Locked On Hornets, but more importantly, to talk about what the Hornets are going to do on Tuesday night. Yes, the NBA draft, just days away. All right, let's hear from Walker Mail, who breaks down all the stats, things you need to know about the latest around Coby White and his contract situation.
We need to have not a course correction, but a discourse correction on what's happening surrounding Coby White. Here's the latest report from Mark Stein from his Substack on the Stein line about Coby White. Quote, league sources say, while the Hornets hope to retain Coby White, there is a perception in circulation that he could indeed be gettable this offseason. In that scenario, Charlotte certainly could try to execute a sign and trade deal to prevent losing him for nothing. End quote. Couple things. One, this comes across as agent posturing because there's not a whole lot of cap space teams out there. And in order to drive up the price, you need to drum up interest as much as possible. And so if you're the agent doing your job for Coby, a good basketball player in the NBA, you're calling around. You mind dropping this article? Or you're not even asking these guys to write articles. You're just letting them know, yeah, there's some cap space teams. I mean, Coby's open to going to a different squad. Sure, that is a real thing. Yeah, no, that's fine. That's on the record. Yeah, no big deal. Sure, write about it if you want to. Not saying that's what's happening. It feels like agent posturing. I'll tell you this. If I was an agent and I was trying to get enough money for my client and for me, it's exactly what I would be doing. Okay. Problem is, there's just let's set aside what Coby White is worth. Let's set aside that just as a basketball player, because that's not always the case. Once we get to free agency, you have what you're worth as a basketball player in a vacuum, and then you have what you're worth on the market because of cap space or lack thereof. And I was talking with Keith Smith about this on Wes and Walker, or excuse me, the Kyle Bailey Show. I've been filling in for Kyle Bailey. But I was talking with Keith Smith, who I love, and I was talking with him about this on WFNZ. The cap space teams right now are pretty much the Bulls. Okay, I would doubt Coby goes back to Chicago, but could. Brooklyn going after Coby after drafting all of the guards. I wouldn't think so. The Lakers, they're not going after Coby White. And those are the teams that he mentioned. The Detroit Pistons are a team that could be interested in Coby, and we've thrown that around a couple of times. They would have to pry Coby White from my cold, dead hands. Detroit would specifically. The other teams, that would still be the same case. But no, not Detroit, man. Don't let Coby go to Detroit. Please stop that at every single cost. But, okay. So I'm still not I'm not worried about losing Coby. I very much think he's going to come back to this team and he'll be a Charlotte Hornet for the next 3 to 5 years. If it gets that high, I wouldn't expect 5, but probably around, let's just call it a 3-year deal. I would expect him to be a Charlotte Hornet for the next 3 years. And it's because not only do I really value him, I think the Hornets do as well. Okay, we've gone through why the market would tell you Coby White is worth X. Now let's just talk about the basketball player. Let's talk about the actual basketball player, because this is where the discourse correction comes in. I don't think everybody's losing their mind, but it does feel like a storm is brewing for people to lose their mind on what Coby White actually is as a basketball player. And this, again, feels like I'm trying to be the scientist telling people, hey, the volcano's about to erupt. Psh, no, it's not. It's not going to, it will be fine. No, it's actually about to erupt. In fact, I'm watching the lava spill out of the volcano right now. It's already erupted, and you're just looking right. Oh, no, I don't see it. Nope, that's fine. Ooh, my foot's a little hot. No, that's fine. No, I just got athlete's foot. It's not lava. Coby White's already erupted. And I don't understand why we try to act like, I'll give him $18 million a year. Okay, fine. I'll give him $20 million a year. Perhaps that's a little bit of an overpay, but oh well, I guess we'll do right by Coby. From a basketball standpoint, $20 million a year is not an overpay. If you wanted to argue that the Hornets should not bid against themselves, hell yeah, that's smart business. If you're saying that he shouldn't get paid more than $20 million annually because there's not another team driving up that price, and you want the Hornets to at least play a little hardball, maybe not hardball, but do what's best for their team in paying him what is fair value. Okay, cool. Like, I get that. I hope that the Hornets and Coby can agree to some kind of equal beneficial trade. But if we're just talking about what Coby is what he's worth as a basketball player, man, you could pay him $25 million a year, and that's not going to be a bad contract. That's what I need people to understand. I've always said Bobby Marks coming out with that article, he's really good at this. In fact, he's probably the best at this. $18 million, people just kind of zeroed in on that number, and they said, well, anything too far above that number, now everybody's going crazy. Man, 2 years from now, we're going to look at a $25 million a year deal, and we're not going to think that is some kind of albatross. Can we just go over the numbers, though, real quickly? So, according to Cleaning the Glass, when Coby was on the floor, the Hornets were scoring 125.5 points per 100 possessions. I laugh because that's in the 98th percentile in the league. That's really good. It was a 2.9 points per 100 possessions difference. That's in the 68th percentile. We could go through the team effect offensively, but I actually think the defense is a little underrated because he's real strong and quick and can absorb contact really well. I don't think he's an amazing defender. I think he's a totally fine defender that you're not looking at as a liability. Defensively, this one's probably a little harder to make sense of. But defensively, when Coby's on the floor, the Hornets are allowing 112.5 points per 100 possessions. That's in the 82nd percentile league-wide. If you just look at the difference, it's in the 50th percentile. So the difference is quite literally average. And just what they're doing with him on the floor, it's really good. In the last 5 years, if you look at what the offense has done with Coby on the floor, so this is 30 games with Charlotte, and then the other time all with Chicago. I will emphasize in Chicago, not a great basketball team. In the last 5 years, only once with the Bulls has the offense with Coby on the floor been anything less than in the 70th percentile. I'm starting, you can hear it in my voice. I'm just starting to get a little irritated on why people are seemingly undervaluing Coby. And I love the analytics. I just went to them, right? So I'm a huge fan of numbers. I think people need to pay attention to those a little bit. And I just don't understand why Coby clearly made a big impact according to the eye test. He clearly made a big impact according to the numbers test. If you care about the camaraderie, the character, the locker room, he clearly made a big impact there. Oh, what are those three things? Those three things are just so happen to be the pillars that Jeff Peterson abides by when looking at draft prospects. Eyes, what is it? It's eyes, it's numbers, and then I think it's feeling or something like that. So I forget, he just mentioned that with Adrian Wojnarowski. So tell me what gives. Last couple things in a long first segment. Okay, so you want to play hardball. I don't know, man. I'm good with Coby making $20 million. Okay, fine. But 23? It's a little steep for me. 25? No, can't do it. Can't do it at 25. Can I ask you what a world without Coby White looks like for this squad? Because there's not a lot of other guards to me that are available out there on the market that serves as this veteran presence. So if you want one of those guys anyways, then that's going to take some assets to go after him, which, all right, well, now we could just have Coby at a little bit more than you want to pay him price, or we can give up draft picks to go get the other guy. And I don't want to do that. That doesn't make much sense. And if you just decide that you're going to rely on the 14th or 18th pick, let's say they take a guard at one of those spots. And by the way, a lot of the really good guards that people believe in are probably going to be gone by the 14th overall selection. Once you get to where the Hornets are selecting now, you're talking about a lot of front court players that they're going to value. So in that world where Coby White is not a Hornet and you're not trading assets to go get a veteran backup point guard, so LaMelo can just take a freaking break. We saw how beneficial it was last year. Then you're relying on a rookie to be the guy that runs the offense in a year where I'm looking to win 50 games. I'm looking to contend. I'm not telling you to pay him 35. I'm not telling you to even really pay him 30. He's not going to get $30 million a year. That's not happening. But what I am telling you that also should not happen is that you get a little too cute and all of a sudden Detroit, who's serious about winning, comes in and says, hey, good player, actually, here's just good money. Can we go win some basketball games? And then he agrees to that because Charlotte wants to get too cute. That's what you want to do? It don't make sense. Don't make sense.
Today's episode of Locked On Hornets is brought to you by our good friends at Kalshi. The World Cup is here, and it's the most electric time in soccer. I am awaiting the hotly anticipated matchup between the U.S. and the Socceroos of Australia. You probably already know the result. I am hotly anticipating it. On Kalshi, you can trade every single match, every single U.S. men's national team match, and the championship game. I could go through all the matchups and break it down, but instead, I want to just go to the winner. I want to talk about the Kalshi odds of the U.S. team winning it all, and right now, it's sitting at 3.8%, just under the Netherlands, and just a few percentage points off of Germany, Brazil, Portugal. That's right, the U.S. men, they are in the hunt for the World Cup, and I would say trending up, and if they beat Australia, certainly they will have to be trending up as well. On Kalshi, you are trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house, and as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position for a limited time. If you download the Kalshi app and use code LOCKEDON, that's code LOCKEDON, all one word, to get $10 when you trade. $10. Kalshi. Say it with me. Kalshi. Trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. Today's episode is also brought to you by our good friends at 5 Hour Energy. There are certain flavors that instantly make you feel like summer. And for a lot of people, those classic red, white, and blue freezer pops are right at the top of the list. That's the baby's favorite pop. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name of the pop, but you probably know the name of the pop. Sweet cherry lime, blue raspberry. It's one of those nostalgic summer flavors that everybody recognizes. Now, 5 Hour Energy is bringing that flavor combination into the new Firework Freeze 5 Hour Energy Shot. Whoa! Blending sweet cherry, zesty lime, and electric blue raspberry into one refreshing shot inspired by those iconic summer freeze pops. Oh, yes. I mean, I remember lounging by the pool, taking in one of those iconic summer freeze pops that my baby definitely loves. You can recreate that flavor in a 5 Hour Energy Shot. That is so cool. Ignite your taste buds with the flavor of the summer. Get a Firework Freeze 5 Hour Energy Shot today. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com. More Locked On Hornets ahead. Back here on Locked On Hornets, thanks so much to Walker there for giving us the breakdown on the Coby White news. We have the most incredible NBA draft guide for you, by the way, and it's free. It's loaded. Every pick in a mock draft with player comps, one sentence summary, strengths, weaknesses. It has it all. Know everything you need to know about the NBA draft from the experts at No Ceilings. It's the Locked On NBA Draft Guide. Get it for free at lockedonpodcast.com/NBA Draft Guide. That's lockedonpodcast.com/NBA Draft Guide. And from Draft Guide to our Draft Guy and a member of the Locked On Hornets family here on our 10th anniversary week celebration, we bring in the one, the only, Nada Edwards to break down the draft. But first, I got to ask you about this Coby White stuff. Are you scared the Hornets are going to not bring Coby White back?
to channel Aaron Rodgers, I'm just going to say, just spell it out. RELAX. Relax. Jeff Peterson is going. Yeah. We're just going to need to relax on this. I don't think that there's any way that this, I don't think he leaves. I really don't think he leaves. I think they're going to pay him. Don't play around. Even if it gets to 30, if it's a 3-year, $90 million deal, I'm fine with it. I just don't think that there's any chance that you can let that guy go after he hits one of the biggest shots in franchise history since the team's come back. I just don't think you can let him leave. So I don't think Jeff Peterson strikes me as a dumb person. This is going to happen. I understand that all the stuff is going to be, again, all the scuttlebutt. Agents need to do their jobs to just generate as much money as possible. We're going to be fine. I'm going to relax. Until the Shams report says that he's going elsewhere, I'm assuming he's a Hornet until then.
Okay, I think why people are not relaxing is because it's been a while since the Hornets have had to negotiate with a player that has made as significant an impact, and you heard it from Walker there. He broke down all the advanced stats, as significant of an impact. I mean, you go back to the Miles Bridges thing that was obviously contentious because of the off-court stuff, and then go back to the P.J. Washington stuff, and everybody was like, I just feel like the general mood on P.J. Washington was like, bring him back, I guess, if it makes sense, but otherwise, it's okay. I think the fan base was okay. I don't think they would be okay if they missed out on Coby White. So we'll continue to monitor that news and bring you any updates as we get them. But I do want to shift gears to the draft. And I guess I'll throw in a Coby White angle to this first draft question, which is how much do you think that the Coby White negotiations are going to play in terms of being a factor in how Jeff Peterson and company approach this draft?
They shouldn't. This is a draft. This is a very loaded draft where you're going to be able to get at least minimum rotation guys, if not full-on starters. If this team is going to continue the archetype that they have, where they have big, rangy guys that can play all along the court, the guards here, Phylon, maybe, but again, I'm not a Phylon guy. I know you're not a Phylon guy. I am definitely I don't think guards matter. I really don't in this draft. And again, if you're telling me that this team is about to pick BPA, you're going to have a hard time selling me on that, and that being 14 and 18, those being guards. Quite honestly, I don't see it.
I would be more on board with that kind of selection at 18 than I would be at 14, or maybe even exploring that honestly, in the second round.
I can't see it. I can't see it. You're telling, because the strength of this draft to me has been the bigs and the wings. You're telling me that over in a situation where you're going Phylon or Dalen Swain, picking Phylon? No, I'm not. Or should Cameron Carr be there at 18? You're telling me Cameron Carr or Phylon? No, I'm not doing that. Not when this team still has, I look at the finals and I look at the caliber of wing that you see there. The Hornets kind of aren't there in terms of the quality of wing. I need this team to build up their wings to be good enough to be playoff caliber. And they're not there yet. So you continue to stock up on the wings until you get to playoff and finals caliber wings at that point. And if you're going to do that, you can't do it with a LeBaron Phylon guard, especially when you have other guards in free agency that you're going to be able to get for the mid-level exception, if not cheaper.
Nada says top 5 guys he doesn't want the Hornets to take: Phylon.
Perfect.
And Phylon. I mean, I'm in agreement with you, and it's because of I'm scared, particularly after the Nick Smith Jr. pick. I'm scared of guards that don't have a lot of weight on them, that are not known for particularly strong defensive habits. I'm scared of that because of NSJ, but also, and I wish I could find the tweet. If I find it between now and when I put the episode up, I'll try to get the link to it. But somebody tweeted out the names of guards who were taken in the first round under 180 pounds.
I did see that.
And it was, let me see if I can remember some of the names. De'Aaron Fox was on the list. Oh, that's good. Trae Young is on the list. Oh, that's good. There was one other that I'm going to forget. And then beyond that, it was like, who, what? That you
Trae
made that
Mann was
name
on
up.
that list, by the way.
Who? Oh, Trae Mann was on the list. Yeah.
Trae Mann was on the list. I did see that tweet. It's a very, I wouldn't call it who's who. It's a list of guys that are entirely too small. I agree with you on this. If you're telling me small guard, then you're telling me that Coby White's gone. And in that case, I just don't believe that the best players in this draft are guards. I'm sorry. after you get past Wagler, like Phylon is okay. I think there's a lot of NATO's system that made him look a lot better than he actually is. You're gonna tell me, like, I just don't believe him. I do not believe in these guards, but even if Okorie is there, like, just go get Isaiah Evans in the second. Go do something else. Like, go do something else. That's my thing. Go do something other than guard, please, because there are other avenues to address guard if you need it.
Do you expect the Hornets to make both of the picks and keep both of the picks at 14 and 18?
I think it would be malpractice if they didn't, quite honestly. Wow. Like, this team, and this is a bigger thing that I think there's a disconnect between me and the rest of the fan base, where I think this team still has another step to get to playoff. I do think that it would, like, if they were closer, if they weren't so physically dominated towards the end of that Orlando game, where everybody was just in their lunch and everything else like that, maybe I would be more of the, hey, we can only use one. We don't have to do that. This team has enough guys between Grant Williams, Miles Bridges, between a lot of these, like between Miles Bridges, Grant Williams, Trey Mann, Liam McNeely if you need it, Tijon Salon if you need it. You have more than enough movable contracts to where you can do something with the back end of this roster and still make those two picks. It's not that big of a deal to me, at least.
Okay, I did find the tweet, so I can credit Stephen Gillespie, who is part of the No Ceilings network, which is partnering up now with Locked On to do the Locked On NBA draft show, and they do the draft guide that I talked about to open this segment. And so, yeah, it's Trae Young, it's De'Aaron Fox. Fears is on the list, TBD on Fears. You got it. Trey Mann was on the list. Monte Morris, Bones Highlands, Cody Williams, TBD on Rob Dillingham. Oh, Grant Riller.
Cody Williams. Cody Williams is like 6'10". That's the crazy part to that.
I mean, lanky and skinny. But Grant Riller for the sickos. Grant Riller also shows up on this one.
Oh, no.
He was a short-lived member of the franchise. So, yeah, and everyone else, I have no idea. So, size is real, and the Hornets need to get more physical, but they also need to get bigger. And so, yeah, I don't know that would make a lot of sense, but we'll see what happens there. In the next segment, I want to get into the nightmare scenarios, but I wanted to start a little bit positively. So let me get your dream scenario, and it has to be realistic, within the context of the players that have been mocked around 14 and 18 and some of the mock drafts that you've seen. What's a mock draft that you've seen that you went, wow, if that's how it shook out, the Hornets would be in a great position?
Steinbach Carr is probably my ideal one. And I say that with the acknowledgement, or at least the personal acknowledgement, that I don't think there's a chance in hell that Morris Johnson Jr. makes it to 14. I don't see it. There are too many smart GMs between 8 and 14. But Steinbach, Cam Carr, you tell me I'm getting that, let's go and do not say anything else. Just let's move on. Steinbach, Cam Carr, Morris Johnson, Cam Carr, get a big and a wing. And I think this team is going to be really, really interesting coming into September, October.
Morez worth a trade up a couple of spots?
What are we trading? Because if you're telling me if you're telling me a 27 pick, I can go with it. If you're telling me it's 14 and 18, no, thank you. This team is not a guy away, unfortunately for me. Like, there's still another step in between, and I do think that Morez does fill that gap. I'm just not willing to trade 14 and 18 to go get him.
All right, let us know what you think in the comments. But coming up on the Locked On Hornets podcast, bees everywhere. My talk with Nada continues. We go from dreams to nightmares. What happens if no one that we want is available at 14? Find out coming up next. Today's episode of Locked On Hornets is brought to you by our good friends at Indeed. Workplace chaos, it can show up fast. The problem is that finding the right candidate can take a lot more time than most businesses can afford. That's where Indeed Sponsored Jobs comes in. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach candidates who actually fit what you're looking for based on the skills, the experience, and the location that you need. Finding the right person can make all the difference, whether it's building a business or building a winning team. Just ask the New York Knicks. I mean, a lot of people that they counted out, but they went and found them, full of like second-round talent that they went and found, acquired, and made it happen for the Knicks. So some of the best moves organizations make aren't always the splashiest ones. Sometimes it's finding the right person who fits exactly what the team needs at the right moment. That's what stood out when it comes to the New York Knicks, and that's what stands out when it comes to Indeed sponsored jobs, helping connect organizations with candidates who are the right fit from the start. So spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results when you need the right person to cut through the chaos. This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. More Locked On Hornets ahead. Back here with Nada Edwards. Nada, I do want to pick your brain on some of your favorite moments from the past 10 years of Locked On Hornets, because you have been in some part, I think you've been in some way part of the show for 10 years. You've been a host, you've been a co-host, you've been a contributor, you've just done it all for 10 years. So I'm interested. But let's stay on the draft for just a few more minutes. We did dream scenario. How about nightmare scenario? We had, and I want to credit the person that shouted me out on this, because this was a subject that was brought up, I think, on a BuzzBeat podcast, and someone tagged Afonz at It's Adolphus, tagged both Walker and I on the doomsday scenario for the Charlotte Hornets, which would essentially be all of the Michigan guys are gone, all three, Oxel, Adai, and Merez. They're all gone. Steinbach, my guy, the guy who has my rose right now, he's gone. What do the Hornets do?
I think you draft Cam Carr at 14. And I do think that you just draft him. You don't think twice. You move down. And if all four of those guys are there, the other question I would have is Wagler there? Is Mikel Brown Jr. there? Or is it Kingston Flemings? Because if it's Wagler, I think you draft Wagler and you don't think twice. But if you're telling me that it's none of those guys and Wagler's gone, give me Cam Carr, and then this is the thing that's going to scare everybody. Give me Jaden Quaintance at 18. Because Jaden Quaintance, I think he's worth a swing at 18. I truly believe in the defensive talent. This team is going to need an elite defensive big. And if his athleticism is remotely close to what it used to be, that's a guy that can quite literally change a defense and turn this from a top 10 defense into a top 5 defense. And he's going to build enough bulk and build enough strength and eventually build enough touch around the rim to be a DeAndre Jordan type guy, where I truly believe that guy is going to end up being the guy. Like, how did he drop so far in the draft? That's like, I believe in his abilities that much at this point.
Interesting to note that in the Locked On Ultimate mock draft, Cam Carr selected 14. It was actually part of the Giannis trade to the Warriors in the Ultimate mock draft for Locked On that resulted in Cam going 11th. So getting him at 14 would actually be a little bit of a fall for Carr, according to this mock draft. But I think he's been all over the board in terms of mock drafts. I have seen him go around that 10 to 14 range. I've also seen him, kind of in the late teens as well, maybe even dripping into the high 20, not high 20s, the low 20s, I guess, 20, 21, 22. Like, why that big of a range for someone like Carr?
Because I think his ability to gain weight. I do think that he is a very slender guy. So it's going to be another slender guy to the backcourt that you're going to need to bulk up rather quickly. But for me, I think, like, when it comes to the Baylor guys, we kind of underestimate what they can do offensively. We've seen it now with Keontae George. You saw it a little bit with VJ Edgecombe. You see it with Jacoby Gillespie. A lot of these guys come tamped down from the Scott Drew system because Scott Drew is normally trying to control possessions, do a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. They're better scorers a lot of the time than you think they are. So if you're telling me that it's going to be, again, that kind of guy with that kind of wingspan, that kind of explosiveness athletically. I think that's a no-brainer. And if he's going to slide up and down, I do think this is also a very team-specific type of draft where if you're the Bulls, I'm not sure you necessarily need a Cam Carr. Where Memphis, okay, you probably do need it. Toronto, it all really depends on what you need because this draft is the last real, this is the last real buffet in the draft until probably 2029, 2030. That's how barren the next couple of drafts are going to be. So a lot of teams are going to get their team-specific guys that work for their system and then go from there.
Carr at 188. According to the Locked On NBA draft guide. So he barely clears that bar. 6'5", 7'1" wingspan. In terms of the type, they list him here as a 3-and-D shooting wing. Here's the one sentence on him. A gorgeous shooter with parking lot range, a 7'1" wingspan, and the relentless motor of a player who has spent years waiting for his chance. The best sell for the transfer portal and one of the most compelling 3-and-D upside plays in the class. I mean, I read relentless motor, and I do think, hey, that's a guy that probably
DNA,
is going,
baby.
Yeah, he's going to go in if he can transfer that in the interview room. Then that's certainly probably going to be attractive to someone like Jeff Peterson. His NBA comps are Mikal Bridges, so as long as you don't trade him for 5 draft picks, you'll probably be happy. And I'm sure the Knicks fans are certainly happy with Mikal Bridges and another NBA comp. Devin Vassell, who was somebody that we took in a ultimate mock draft a very long time ago and certainly has had his impact in the playoffs now as well. So, something that I've seen other people say, I've said it on the podcast. I'm not accusing anyone of stealing this take, but I did. I think I did say it first, which was that I don't think the Hornets can screw this up. That the plethora of options mixed with the trust that I think the front office has earned in terms of them seeking out the right kinds of guys as opposed to falling in love with a particular skill set, but just really understanding what kind of guys are going to come in and get better, not just falling in love with what they are now, but projecting out what they could be. And also the number of assets, future assets that they hold, that if other opportunities were to present themselves, I think they could jump on those opportunities. I just can't see a scenario where after draft night, I am super disappointed in what they do. I might have some quibbles with, one of the picks, but I can't see them screwing this up. Are you in agreement? Is there a scenario you go, oh yeah, I could definitely see coming out of this draft feeling disappointed?
Getting a guard. That's the only one. That's quite literally the only one. Where if they're getting a guard,
that's not Cam Carr.
That's not Cam Carr. That's not even Dalen Swain. And I have issues with Dalen Swain and his inability to shoot a jumper. But if you're telling me it's if it's Dalen Swain or Cam Carr, I'm okay with that in terms of just a wing. They get a small guard, I'm going to have questions because if that's the case, I hope you traded back and then got the guard. Because I just truly believe that there's so much talent in this front court. But even if you're going to get a guy like Koa Pete, who has issues and shoots like MKG.
Oh boy.
I said it. I'll say it again. He shoots like MKG. No. If you're telling me that's the guy that they end up getting because they love the hustle, they love what he does. I just don't think that there's room. If you're telling me there's no room for 2 rookies, I don't believe there's room for a small guard when you can go get another one for fairly cheap in free agency this summer.
You mentioned Jaden Quaintance as well in the nightmare scenario, taking him at 18 if all of the other options for them at 18 are gone. Jaden Quaintance, I've been a little nervous about Jaden Quaintance in terms of it feels a little Tijan Solani to me. Can you convince me otherwise? Why should I make his acquaintance?
Because he was the best defensive big at 17 years old in college basketball, quite literally, and then he got hurt. The only issue that you can have with him, at least for me, is that the knee doesn't sound structural, or there are clear issues where he's not passing medicals right now, which is why you see him mocked in the 20s at this point. But at 18, that kind of defensive capability, there's a couple of clips out there where he's locking up VJ Edgecombe at the top of the key, where he goes stride for stride with VJ Edgecombe, meets him at the rim, blocks the shot. How many bigs do you know can do that in the NBA, much less college? That's a special defender for me. If you're telling me like he's the type of guy that's going to take this Hornets defense, if healthy, from top 10 to top 5 in 2 years. He's not Tijan Salon. For me, Tijan Salon did not have an elite trait coming out of college or coming out of France. Jaden Quentin's has an elite defensive skill coming out of college. And if he's remotely healthy, that's going to show itself fairly quickly.
Okay. That was a pretty good case. I think you made it well. I'm not sure that I want to make his acquaintance yet, but I'm closer than I've ever been. Listen, it's going to be a while before we can get you back on the show. You're taking.
I'm bringing my laptop with me. With me.
You're taking a little breather.
More importantly, you guys know how to reach me. I will have my mic. I will have my laptop. We will talk. Again, if you need a therapy session from England, I will be around.
Okay. I didn't want to reveal. I didn't know if you were going to a secret bunker. I didn't want to reveal your location. But yes, you're skipping across the pond. You'll be up very early, right? Early or late to watch the drag? I guess it's
4 a.m.
Same. Whew!
Again, it's going to start at like 1 a.m. I will be up probably watching a decent portion of this. I'll be watching 14 and 18. I'll be doing some work. And yeah, I'll be around. Well,
I say all that because I just wanted to give you one because I do want to ask your favorite moments from the past 10 years, but I just wanted to give you one more opportunity to get your takes off before the draft. Any other hot fire that you want to spit right now?
I just don't want Hornets fans to worry about like this is the gravy period. This is a time where normally the sickos are worried. Let me put it this way. The Knicks have won. The most cursed franchise not known as the Charlotte Hornets. The Knicks have won. There is nothing to be worried about. Relax, enjoy your summer. This draft is, again, like you keep saying, this draft is foolproof or nearly foolproof. Relax, enjoy your summer. Don't worry about the Coby White stuff. Just enjoy it, because this is the last time we get to really fully enjoy this before the expectations kick in October. So just relax. RELAX.
Okay, I like that take. I will say that I just feel like eventually the NBA is going to get tired of all of this parity, and they're going to put a stop to it, and we're going to see a couple of dynasties. So I would like the Hornets to strike while the parity iron is hot, give themselves an opportunity to become the 9th, the 10th, the 11th straight different champion instead of waiting for this era of parity to end. But we'll see how that happens.
By the NBA, you mean Victor Wembanyama getting tired of all of us and all of the takes. And then deciding he's going to win everything for the next 5 years. Yeah, I understand that. That one I understand completely.
Right. Okay, so we are celebrating our 10th anniversary as a network. Our show joined, I don't know the exact date. We're still trying to dig all of that out, but I know it was in August. So we've got a few more months before.
It was 2016.
Yeah, I know it was 2016. I know because we were like the 14th to join, but the network is celebrating their 10th anniversary now. We joined sometime in August. But I wanted to give you an opportunity to tell me some of your favorite moments from the show, bits on the show. Like when I say we've been doing this for 10 years, you say what?
One, we are old as hell. That's the first thing.
I look at. Yeah.
You shoot me. Like, yeah. Let's see. We are old as hell. The calorie spike comes to mind first thing first. The Steve Bob Forrest, wherever he is, making the Frank Ocean album out of the time I dyed my hair, definitely is on there.
Also during that era, because Walker did his list, but he missed a lot of that early era because he wasn't, he came onto the show just a little bit later. And so like the Frasier intro that we ran for a while was something that was early on. The hot chip was something early on. Nick Denning. I haven't said Nick Denning's name in a while. He's off, I think, teaching the future of America. But Nick Denning was a big part of the show for a long time.
Like that, David Walker, again, OG. Like those guys, again, having Rich Cho on, like stuff like that.
No, having Rich Cho on and then asking him to tell us whether the name was a delicacy, a foreign delicacy, or an international prospect. And he got a couple wrong, and I think it pissed him off. I think we pissed off Rich Joe.
Yes.
Might have gotten him fired. I don't know.
It might have. Like it was just like this, like Locked On, and I was gonna tweet this out, but I can say it here. Like Locked On is responsible for me having the career I have right now, and this is how me and you became friends, because you asked me to do this when I was doing WFNZ, when I was producing, and like Locked On has been responsible over the last 10 years for a lot of career highlights, was there for a lot of the career lowlights, and has helped sustain me for multiple things. And I cannot say enough good stuff about this place. I cannot say enough good stuff about this network. And again, hopefully I'm not around for the 20. Again, if I'm around for the 20, something has gone horrifically wrong, but who knows? But it's been an awesome 10 years to be somewhat associated with this ship, even though a lot of people will probably be in the comments telling me how I got Knueppel wrong, and I apologize. And I've learned my mistakes. I've learned from my mistakes. I will not over-index athleticism ever again. I will put it in its proper place.
Don't you dare apologize. Have you learned nothing? Have you learned nothing from me? If I could teach you just one thing, it's that you never apologize to these people. You know why? Because they'll never be happy. They don't want a piece of you. They want the whole thing. You're right. If you keep apologizing to people in the comments, you will not be around 10 years from now. They don't want a piece. They want the whole thing.
That's the point though, Doug. I'm not supposed to be around here 10 years from now. I'm supposed to be going and enjoying like my daughter's graduation or something like that. Or a basketball game, and I'll be coaching her or something like that. Who knows?
That's fair enough. I hope that you're around 10 years from now. I hope that you're sacrificing your time away from your family, because I'm selfish. I want you around. So.
Oh, well, you know what? Fine then, Doug. I will be around. Just
because you Woo! We did it. 10 more years, 100 more years of Locked On Hornets. You heard it here first, folks. Thank you.
Get that old man off of YouTube. Shoot. Get these grumpy old men off YouTube. That's what they're going to tell us.
All right. Well, hopefully you're not grumpy after the draft. I will not call you at 4 a.m., but we will hear from you after the draft to get your opinions on everything the Hornets did. Can't wait. We will see you next week. Actually, we've got one more episode. Walker is going to talk to the founder of Hoops Grid, so you'll hear that on Saturday, a little weekend edition of Locked On Hornets. It's a sicko. If you're a sicko, you want to listen to that one, because they go through the 10 players you've forgotten played for the franchise to help your Hoops Grid game, but to also relive some, mostly Bobcats, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Oh, no.
It's mostly Bobcats.
Is Corey Higgins on that list? That's what I'm afraid of.
You got to watch to find out.
Okay. Darn it.
All right. Thanks, Sonata. There you go. Thanks, Sonata, and thank you for making us your first listen every single day. Go get the draft guide. It's free. The link is in the show notes. Subscribe to the Everydayers Club. You definitely want to do that. Every Hornets box score, hit us up. Until then, until next week, go Hornets, go America. Let's swarm Charlotte.